President Biden is facing another challenge to his agenda: inflation. The Labor Department reported that consumer prices rose 6.2% in October compared to a year before. That is the biggest 12-month inflation spike the U.S. has seen in more than 30 years. Biden tried to alleviate concerns by saying the newly passed bipartisan infrastructure bill will help fix supply chain issues, bringing goods to consumers more quickly and hopefully bringing prices back down. And a new Monmouth University poll shows that President Biden's agenda is more popular than he is. His approval rating is at 42%, while support for his agenda is at least 20% higher. So for more on this, I want to bring in Nancy Cordes, who is at the White House. So Nancy, President Biden touted the bipartisan infrastructure deal yesterday, and he insisted that investing in roads, bridges, and ports will make it easier for companies to get goods to consumers. But how long will that take?
It's going to take long enough that it may help with the next inflation spike, but it's probably not going to help with this one, Anne Marie. As you know, these projects take time. You've got to award the money, plan the projects, and then carry them out. And keep in mind, there are shortages right now for all kinds of construction materials that could cause these projects to take even longer. So yes, in the long run, it will help to have modernized ports, to have better bridges, better roads, and all the rest. But it is going to take time. And so while the president has been out there touting all the money in this bipartisan infrastructure plan, this is not the kind of money that can be put to work tomorrow to alleviate the supply chain crunch that we're currently experiencing.
So I want to play some of what the president said yesterday.
Everything from a gallon of gas to a loaf of bread costs more, and it's worrisome, even though wages are going up. We still face challenges, and we have to tackle them. We have to tackle them head on.
So this is sort of basic supply and demand stuff. What, if anything, can the administration do to combat inflation now in the short term?
You know, the challenge is that they don't really have that many tools at their disposal. I was interviewing the chief economist for Moody's yesterday, Mark Zandi, and he said the best thing that the administration really can do is to make sure that the pandemic continues to dissipate, because, you know, one of the biggest problems has been the slowdown in manufacturing, both here and abroad, because of COVID outbreaks. So if you can eliminate that as much as possible, then these goods can be produced even quicker. The problem here is that there's sort of a perfect storm. Over the past year, goods have been produced more slowly for all the reasons we just discussed, having to do with the pandemic, people not working, and all the rest. But then on top of that, you've got this increased demand. First of all, because people were at home so much over the past year and a half, they weren't looking to pay as much for services, but they were looking to buy goods. They were ordering things to make their lives more comfortable at home. And then once they got back to work, they had more disposable income, sometimes that they had saved up during the pandemic when they were spending less. And so they're looking to spend all that money. And as a result, these were some really eye-popping numbers we got from the Labor Department yesterday. It said that beef prices have shot up 20% since a year ago. Furniture prices up 12%. And cars up 10%. That is the largest increase, Anne Marie, since 1975. The good news, Andy says, is that if the pandemic continues to be kept at bay here in the U.S., this will be, as the White House has been saying, a temporary thing. And it could start to go back to the normal 2 to 3% inflation levels that we're used to by mid next year.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, but you answered that question, which is just how long will it last? It certainly is good news if you're trying to sell a car, particularly a used car, because they're really keeping their value.
Right.
So Biden's approval rating, as we just mentioned, it's kind of low. It's already been pretty low.
Yeah.
How could this inflation news impact his already kind of faltering approval rating?
Well, every president knows that their ratings and their re-election chances are closely tied to how the economy performs. So this is something that, of course, makes the White House nervous. And I think that's why you're seeing the president kind of get out there and just lay it all on the table and say, yes, prices are up. They're up for milk. They're up for everything that you shop for. He's not trying to sugarcoat it or ignore the fact that it's happening, because it's something that every American experiences, particularly when they go to fill up their car with gas or even try to heat their home this winter. That is really going to be some sticker shock as well. So there's no point, I think, in this White House trying to pretend it's not happening. What they can do is say, yes, it's happening, but it's not going to last very long. Now, is everyone convinced of that argument? Not necessarily. Even some economists thought that inflation would have spiked and be on the downswing by now. So this is lasting even longer than some economists had thought. They still predict that it is going to start to go down by mid-2022. But until that starts happening, it is going to be somewhat nerve-wracking for this White House. And the fact is that even once inflation starts to go down, these supply chain problems are going to take possibly 2 years to iron out completely. One of the really eye-popping statistics that Zandy shared with me yesterday was that typically on car lots across the country, you've got an inventory of about 500,000 new cars. Right now, there are only about 75,000 new cars for sale across the country. And so that is not the kind of thing that you can change overnight. Even once computer chips used in automobiles start to be produced in full swing again, it is going to take time to build that inventory back up.
So we just talked about, this Monmouth poll that indicated that the president's agenda is actually pretty popular, even if he's not.
Right.
But the big heavy lifting has yet to come, right? It's the social spending bill. So while he's out there celebrating this one win with the bipartisan infrastructure bill, this social spending bill is looming. And here comes Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. He has been one of the holdouts for the social spending bill and is using the rise in inflation as a reason to pause on some of the parts of Biden's agenda. What impact could this have on Congress's ability to pass this Build Back Better Act or plan?
Right. If you're the White House, you got to be a little nervous about the things that Joe Manchin is tweeting right now. He has been saying that all signs point to the fact that inflation is not going to go down, even though, frankly, that's not what we're hearing from most economists. He's warning that inflation is high now. It could be high a year from now. And he worries that another surge of government stimulus to the tune of $2 trillion could exacerbate the problem. Now, at this point, the White House is used to, getting nervous about the things that Joe Manchin says. Outwardly, the president is still expressing confidence that the bill will get universal Democratic support in the Senate at the end of the day. But Anne-Marie, when I asked him over the weekend what gives him that confidence, he responded with one word: me. So not a lot of meat on that bone to explain why they are so sure that Joe Manchin is not going to bolt. But they still seem to believe that if they continue to negotiate in good faith with him, and if the numbers come back from the Congressional Budget Office that indicate that this bill is fully paid for and will, as they claim, reduce the deficit, they still seem to believe that they will be able to get Manchin on board at the end of the day.
We shall see. Nancy Cordes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.